the status quo. World War II, the Allies weren't any better than the Nazis. And Vietnam, yay, plucky commies defeat the evil American war machine, is widely taught and believed. In fact, it is becoming enshrined as an integral part of young Americans' beliefs. And no wonder. A people's history is taught throughout our schools and colleges. A young people's history of the United States, Zinn's history adapted for middle schoolers with simplified sentences, but the same content, tells young readers that Zinn's radically different version of history was adapted for them because of parents' and teachers' demands. But some adults might object because they feel that young people are not mature enough to look at their nation's policies honestly. If students aren't given Zinn's book, they may read passages from his work in other books. For example, if they check out young adult books by John M. Donne from the library on such historical topics as the Vietnam War, the North American Indians, and the Civil Rights Movement, each of those volumes contains extended passages from A People's History of the United States, which is listed in the works consulted, and is described as an unorthodox history told from the perspectives that are often overlooked by mainstream writers. Donne presented Zinn as a respected historian. And there's good evidence that the College Board, which is becoming an unelected national school board, setting curricula, and just as important, largely replacing states and localities as the shaper of both textbooks and teacher training at the high school level, via their frameworks for the Advanced Placement, AP U.S. History exam, promotes Zinn's version of history by including his books in AP teacher training seminars. For years now, teachers have used a variety of editions of A People's History with discussion questions, exercises, lesson plans, and activities. Many of these activities involve role play, a favorite in-class activity of the decidedly non-intellectual Professor Zinn. Students at San Antonio College, to give just one example, learn history from an instructor who has adapted strategies from Zinn, her mentor. I have been to many teaching conferences throughout the years where Howard Zinn's materials were promoted. One recently retired public high school history teacher in New York City, Jeffrey Ludwig, described how his fellow teachers would photocopy pages of Zinn's book, which was not on the officially approved list, for use in class. According to a college student who recently graduated from that school, teachers were still handing out excerpts from Zinn's book. Many high school students are subjected to Zinn's book in class, along with the America-hating attitude that comes with it. Emily Rentz, now CEO of a clinical trials company she founded, described her horrific experience in Jim Buxton's Global Studies and International Relations classes at South Kingston High School in Rhode Island. Buxton made students read A People's History cover to cover and write papers regurgitating its points. He also bullied students who dared to express opinions that differed from Zinn's. The grand finale was a class visit from Zinn himself, who had been presented as a kind of god when Rentz was in 11th grade in 2005. Zinn's book and visit at Rentz's high school enjoyed the blessing of many of the parents. Sam Weinberg, a professor of education at Stanford University and the executive director of the Stanford History Education Group, notes that Zinn's book has become the dominant narrative in many cases and the only history book on the syllabus for future teachers. Zinn's pervasive influence is a national tragedy, especially considering just how distorted, manipulative, and plain dishonest A People's History of the United States is. It's past time to take a closer look at Zinn's outrageous claims and outright lies, and set the historical record straight. No other historian has gotten away with as much as Zinn has. Let's begin by putting A People's History of the United States in the context of some recent scandals. It was around the turn of the 21st century that a number of American historians found themselves in the news. In 2000, Emory University professor Deborah Lipstadt was the defendant